In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to use Replan to choose pod locations from a list of available facilities. So these available facilities, we refer to them as candidate pods. Now, what we see here is a map of Dallas County, Texas. This black boundary here represents the county line. The red lines represent the road network. And all these different colored dots speckled throughout the county represent different candidate pods, or we put hospitals in there as well, just for frame of reference. So the candidate pods we're using in this example are pulled from schools and stadium locations, primarily from the Department of Education. So we can look, if we click on the info tool, we can look at all the available school locations and stadium locations that are visible here on the map. So as you can see, there's quite a few of them. Now, Replan makes a couple of different methods available for you to choose these. You can do it manually by going into the pod manager, and then I'm going to click the plus button to add a pod. Then I'll say I want to move this pod, and now I get to click on the map. So I'll click on this one here, and there you see it turns into a little triangle with the name of that school. When I go back to the pod manager, we'll see that here it is. We'll see that that school has been added as a pod. Of course, it doesn't have any booths yet, so we need to go ahead and add some booths. So now it has 10 dispensing lanes. I'm using booths and dispensing lanes interchangeably in this video. And I can continue. I can go back into the pod manager again and add yet another pod. I'll click on move pod and I'll choose, let's see, this school right here. And let's give it, say, 5 lanes. Then I'll add one more pod. I'll move it to right, let's move it right here. And just for the sake of the example, I'll give it, say, 15 lanes. So now you can see I've got the 3 pods at these school locations. I have all of the location information pulled from the Department of Education data set already populated here in Replan. So from here, I can commence with making a response plan. So what I'm doing right now is I'm partitioning this entire county according to distance. So now we see I've got a pod here, and a pod here. I'll go ahead and hide the road so it's easier to see. So these are the 3 schools we've chosen out of the candidate pods list. Those are the ones we chose as pods. And now I've partitioned according to distance. So everyone is assigned, every population is assigned to its closest pod location. From here, I can continue and analyze the different pods. So here I can see household distribution, population distribution, and so on and so forth. So I'll record another video that describes how to actually perform analyses using Replan. But for now, let's go and jump into another method that Replan uses to be able to select pod locations from a list of available facilities. So you'll notice I had 2 tabs open. I've got a second tab with Dallas, basically starting in the same place I was before I had added any pods. Now, rather than selecting these manually, what I'm going to do is, let's say I know that I need 30 pod locations across the county. Each one's going to have an average of, say, 40 drive-through lanes, 40 booths. And let's say I can partition by population or household. I'll go by households. So I'll click the partition button. This will take a moment because it's a fairly complex task. And when this is done, I will have this entire county partitioned into 30 different chunks, each one of them having almost identical household count. All right, should be coming back any moment. Here it is. So we go ahead and I'll hide the roads again so we could see our partitions a bit better. So each one of these partitions has almost the same number of households. I can click on the pod manager so you can actually see the household distribution is almost uniform here. Now, the pod locations that are selected by this tool are selected just at the geometric center of each one of these partitions, each one of these catchment areas, basically is what it's going to serve as. So there might not actually be anything at these different locations. So let's zoom into the map. We can pan around, and we could see that some of them are kind of close to candidate pods, to different schools, but many of them aren't really anywhere near schools. So let's go ahead, we'll use the Google Earth tool to be able to examine one of these pod locations, and let's see what's actually at this location. And as it pulls up, I'll go ahead and spoil it. It's likely that we're in the middle of a neighborhood or in the middle of a field, somewhere that's not suitable. Okay, not suitable for a pod location, which is exactly what we see here. It looks like we're right along the Trinity River here. This probably is not a good location for a pod, especially considering this whole area could end up flooding if there's too much rain. So the way we actually choose pod locations from the list of available facilities, those facilities being all these little points we see speckled everywhere, is by going into the Tools menu, Plan Creation, and Auto Place Pods. So at this point, what the system is going to do is it's going to choose one of these candidate pods for each suggested pod location, each one of the uniform pods. It's going to choose one that's closest to it, so we can try to keep everything, keep all the pods in the middle of the catchment areas as much as possible. So we can choose just the closest high school, or we could choose high schools, and then for those catchment areas that don't have a high school, so then we could fall back to middle schools, or we could just choose the closest candidate pod overall. So for the sake of this demonstration, let's just choose the closest one. I'll say Auto Place. And now you can see all of these green triangles that said uniform pod on them have moved just a little bit, and now they have names. These names are pulled from the Department of Education dataset that we have. So this video demonstrated how to choose pod locations from a list of available facilities using Replan. Please take a look at our YouTube channel if you would like to see more information on how Replan can be used to design and analyze response plans. Thank you.